Because Samuel Nangwe is my guest this morning, and we're talking about solar system. We're talking about a system that electrifies without using too much of harsh equipment, just using the gift of the sun and give electricity to rural residents, particularly rural residents across Liberia. So the man in charge, the man who Joseph Numa Boakai entrusts with that responsibility is here. And from what I can see and from what I've seen so far, I was just telling him before we came on air that I was in Lofa the last time, and I was so impressed with the project that's ongoing there. And I think he's doing a marvelous job over there, and I hope that he continues to do it, because they say that we're chicken. Don't mind me.
Who me or my solar?
Welcome. I just hope you continue doing your best.
Yeah, thank you. We have passion for this.
Yeah.
We know that with our electricity, we're not going anywhere. And what we do is the fastest way to be able to create access for electricity for most of our people, and so that is what we do. And I always tell this story. Back in 2013-14, when we first got our Millennium Challenge money, there was a discussion on where would be the best sector, to be able to put this money. So there was a whole consultation, national consultation that was held with all of the different stakeholders. They call this constraint analysis. At the end of that, it was very clear to almost all of those that participated that the best place to use that money was either on roads and or electricity, because those two sectors were the biggest constraints that Liberia had to becoming a middle-income country, because then we had done our vision 2030, and that vision 2030 said we wanted to be a middle-income country by that year. But those study indicated that if we didn't solve our electricity access and rural access problem, we were not going anywhere. Okay, so since that time, whether it's the agenda for transformation, which was Ellen Johnson's last development program, or the proper agenda for progress and development, ex-President Weah's program, or now what we're dealing with now, the arrest agenda for inclusive development, if all prioritize those two sectors, access to electricity and access to roads. So, but what we have done, there's a bit of edging on the road investment. The energy side is where we are trying to push, and that's why, as a government, a decision was made to put all of the MCC money that we're working on now into the road sector. But then, if you also see the 2026 budget, a significant portion of that budget is also going to roads, electricity as well.
And honestly, when I listen to the president, when I listen to His Excellency, Joseph Numa Boakai, he is so aware, he is so informed, he is so alert, up to date with what's happening around him. People tend to say that, okay, he's old, he may not be attentive, he may not be retentive, but each time you listen to him, he's talked about the priority project, the priority sectors that Liberia needs, and electricity. Of course, when you talk about Joseph Boakai, you talk about agriculture and road. Agriculture and road, they're related with President Boakai. He talks more about electricity because, someone with that kind of experience, so he knows what electricity does to not just the economy, but also the normal living condition of the people.
Yeah, well-being.
You be one of those in charge of supplying people with electricity. Do you feel under pressure with the president's, priority sector that you are heading?
No, I don't feel under pressure, but the right word is we are overwhelmed. Wow. So when you try to balance between needs and what you have, to arrive at the goal. Then you have to be able to be smart in deciding how you go about it. And so we are not pressured because we know exactly what to do, but we are overwhelmed with the demand. So it's literally what we see in the energy sector is how do we balance the demand and the supply. So the demand of the need for electricity as is being, required for our growth, for our comfort, for industries, for social service provision and all of that, and then the supply, that we are able to make sure is available. So, for example, if you see maybe on the on-grade, and I'm just trying to make the distinction now between what we at the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency do and what the Liberia Electricity Corporation do, is that everything that you see AEC doing is what we categorize as on-grade. So they are the ones that are responsible for the development and the maintenance of our being electricity grid. What we are focused on is how do we now address the other side of the equation, basically those that are not yet connected to AEC. So if you have AEC current, whether you in Bokiza, Bokiza you don't have, but I'm just giving an example, then you are on grade.
That we don't need.
So not that you don't need, so your current source is on grade, it's from the mean grade.
AEC.
If you are in Carisburg, I understand if you are in Carisburg and then you have electricity but it's not being supplied from AEC, you are off the grid. That is notwithstanding that Carisburg has proximity to Monrovia as compared to Bokiza. All right. So what we at the RREA is focused on is the rural side, not just the rural side, but also citizens that are located in areas that have need for access to electricity but are not on the grid. Okay, so this is where we are doing. Our main and preferred source of power generation has to be renewables. Okay, so renewables are any source of energy that is not powered by fossil fuel, meaning fuel oil, heavy fuel oil, gasoline, and all of that stuff. So those are non-renewable sources. But if it comes from hydro, it comes from the sun, solar, it comes from wind or biodegradable materials and those kinds of things, those are all renewable. So by itself, it can self-generate. So in Liberia now, giving our consideration, we are actually doing a hybrid. And if you look at, for example, if you make an investment in hydropower, our rivers are not really sustainable during the dry season, but people need to have access during the dry season as well. So then we have to do this hybrid system now where we blend the solar. This is what you saw the president dedicating in Mankofe, but then also there's a bit of generator as well just to do that balance. So we are the off-grid people, we are the renewable energy people.
I want to ask you this as to how many rural communities across Liberia that you are working on right now?
So it depends on what kind of activities. Okay. So for example, we have a partnership program, and that's for me the most that touches my heart, with the Ministry of Health. So we realize that the Ministry of Health has responsibility for all of the public health facilities just across the country, probably 800, 700 of them just spread all around. One of the biggest challenges that they have that adversely impacts the ability of health practitioners to deliver quality health services is stability of electricity. So usually the Ministry of Health is deploying small diesel generators, 5 kVA, 10 kVA, depending on the size and the need of the facility. But the functioning, the performance of that generator is a function of the availability of diesel fuel. And the ministry ability to have that diesel fuel is reliant on the budget allocation for them in a timely fashion, to get the fuel to them. So let's just assume and hold everything constant that they are getting it on time, but sometimes the movement between Monrovia and there, sometimes it leaks on the road. But the short of it is that it adversely impacts how the doctors are able to do. So we thought that was something that we could address effectively and efficiently. So with the discussion and support from the World Bank through a loan, we have a project called the Liberia Energy Access Strengthening Sector, Energy Sector Strengthening Access Project, LISAP. We've had now 2 phases. So under that first phase, we did 90 health centers across the country where we deploy predominantly System 3 systems, that's rooftop and battery energy storage system that is now working perfectly for them. So from that perspective, we are across the entire country. So we've done 90, this is all out there.
And these 90 health centers are all across
the country, yeah.
Because I saw that as well.
All across the country. Yeah. And I encourage your viewers to check on our Rural and Renewable Energy Facebook page. We have a lot there. I also like to do a lot of documentation on my personal Facebook page, Samuel Nambe. There's a lot of our work being there. But there are other specific projects that are county specific, that we could talk about. So we in Lofa, we in Grand Bassa, we're doing stuff in Sino, we're doing stuff in Nimba, and we're doing stuff in Backleville for the moment. So we can talk about that.
Yeah, the reason why I'm just beating about the bush, why I want to come to that big project in Lofa County, that solar plant.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Tell me about it from the start to where we are right now.
So that project has been on since 2017, 2018.
2017, 2018?
Yes.
Wow.
So back then, there's this global thing called Sustainable Energy for All, right? SE for All. And literally, this was when now the world thought that the most sustainable way to create access, one of the most fast way to create access was to, and for environmental purposes, was to go into renewable energy. And so we got a $50 million grant from SE for All, Sustainable Energy for All, for Liberia, and $25 million that money was destined to develop a 2.3 megawatt mini hydro power plant up in Lofa, up in a place called Mbaloma. Mbaloma is just behind Masabolahu, up in the hills. And then the second one to develop also the grading force. So the first $25 million was given to the World Bank. The second was given to the African Development Bank. So with the development, with the one in Lofa, we encounter a lot of technical challenges, including geotechnical, to do that did not match with the feasibility information that we had. And by the time we got it right, it became very, very, very expensive. If you did the cost ratio, global cost ratio per megawatt hour, compared to what that project budget was, so it did not make sense. But in between, then a lot of focus started shifting to solar and battery energy storage, because then it became clear, A, it was easy to supply and to deploy, but then B, Liberia has one of the best radiance capability per mega Q, globally. So it was really, really a good thing to begin to invest a lot more into solar. And so we made that decision along with the bank to deploy a solar and battery storage capability. But before that time, we, as part of the original planning, we realized that if we did the dam, then it will be effective, it will be efficient. Only during the rainy season. The dry season then we were challenged. So then we had to adapt the model that AEC is using here. And then so we proposed investing into a 1.8 megawatt diesel facility. And the bank said, look, we can't give you that money because it can't touch, the renewable energy perspective. But we understand very well what this is. So we took a loan of over $2 million, to be able to do that. So that 1.8 megawatt diesel has been deployed there. So the money for the hydro, remaining money, because we have invested some money already. So what we did, in fact, was just to secure that place, and when we get money, we'll go back there, because hopefully things will change. But we've moved that money now a site, 40-acre site given to us, where we are deploying. That's what you were telling me about. This is 4 megawatt peak of solar photovoltaic modules, along with 50 megawatt hour of battery energy storage that was synchronized with our 1.8 megawatt. So that hybrid power generation system is now going to allow us to run our power through 350 kilometers of low and medium voltage lines to 5 low center communities. That's Vanjema itself, then Foya, then Kolahun, Bolahun, and Masabolahun, but not just
from that plant.
Yes, from that, but also all the communities in between. So we are going to be able to connect up to 10,000 homes in those 5 areas.
In those 5 communities,
yes.
10,000.
Yes.
That include businesses as well?
Yeah. So when we say connection, we're talking about homes, businesses, and public facilities. Okay. And that will be unprecedented in terms of stable electricity. So when you hear that the Mount Cafe solar farm is Liberia's first largest, then the second largest in Liberia is going to be what we have there in Lofa. Wow. And we can assure that we're going to also have the president switch this on. If it was not for the official program happening in the July 26th happening in Bikeno this year, we have done it. So we want to wait, because this is very important for us that Mr. President is there to again have the opportunity to. I told you this thing started 2017. So it's only fair that he's available to be able to do that.
And he was still vice president at the time.
He was vice president that way. And personally for me, and I was also at the RREA. I went there 2018. I was the project coordinator for up to 2 to 3 years. Then I left, of course, but I'm back, and so I have some very, very personal attachment to that project.
So looking at from now to August.
We will be able to commission it on August 24th. That is the plan. Holding everything constant. So when you are driving from Vanjema going to Foya, please make a stop and just admire what on the left-hand side. You can't miss it.
Edie, I'm just admiring already before even it gets started. If you're talking about over 10,000 homes, 5 communities.
Yeah. And all the communities in between.
Imagine how those routes would be with the road that has been inaugurated already. If that road is constructed from now to 2029 with the lights, Lofa is New York.
It's not just New York. Okay, it's a fulfillment. That stretch of the road, it's a fulfillment of the desire to become a middle income country. Of course, there are a lot of downstream benefits. Lofa, give them power, give them roads, everything will come into play, whether it's crop production, rice, including coffee, cocoa, that whole bandy lane. all the farmer cooperatives, now all of those things have been going to be in this and that. So yeah, we will connect all of the rice mills and this. And I just want to say that power we treat it just like we're doing here. It's metered, it will be paid for, so they're not free. They're not free current. So that's one aspect. And for sure, in August this year, we will light up.
I hope to be there. Please don't let me be.
No. So I'll give you this open invitation. I sometime next week I'm going to go just to see what is happening.
Okay.
So we're trying to push.
I hope Orita hearing this. So when Mr. Nango forgot.
You got my contact. So talk to me. So we can go up there. And along the way, you can see some of the activities that we are doing.
Okay.
But that's not just that one. In Buchanan, with support from the European Union, we are building a power distribution backbone that will be powered from, if you know Buchanan, once you enter Buchanan, there's a big power substation owned by CASG Transco. They have 5 of those substations there along the CASG line. One is in Ikepa, one is in Botota, the third one is in Buchanan, the fourth one is there at Mount Coffee, and the last one is in Manoro Equipment. So all of these different substations provides an opportunity for evacuation of power from the CASG line. So we are going to get 10 megawatts of power from those lines, from our substation to power our medium and short voltage, medium and low voltage lines. And we will connect up to about 12,000 plus homes in Buchanan. And again, homes, businesses, and public facilities. That project ends in October.
Using the CSSG.
That's the power source.
As a source.
That's as a source.
Okay.
And I need the listeners to listen carefully. In Vanjema, we are self-generating. We are self-generating. IC has the legal authority to negotiate and import power across the borders. In this case, it's coming from Cote d'Ivoire Energies. So that power comes through there. So the power that you see now in Riverside and most of rural Bassa is also coming from that line. So we need about 10 megawatts for Buchanan City. So, but we will finish that in this year, but October. But already we should be able to face commission and have connection done to some of the we have up to about 56 of the 75 zones that cover the entire Buchanan City that we have funding for, to do those connections by that time. And some of them will be ready by July 26 as well.
Yeah, because I know July 26 is where the official.
So that support there. But under the EU support program, this is renewable energy prioritizing Southeast Liberia. Under that project, and it's CKA, aka LUSE, that is Light Up Southeast. So that's the name, the acronym generally is known for. We are also putting the third system into Greenville. So in Sino, in fact, it's absorbed the bulk of that 42 million euro grant from the European Union. So also in July or latest August, we'll be inaugurating a mini a hybrid or solar grid in Greenville. So this is less than around about 8 to 9 kilowatt hour of solar with 1.1 kilowatt 9 kilowatt peak of solar and 1.1 megawatt of battery storage, along with, I think it's about 850 kVA generator. So that would be the initial power for Greenville. But as part of that package, in terms of generation, we are constructing a 2 megawatts hydro on the Sino River at a location called Sewu Town. So that power is going to be evacuated into Greenville, but also I think there are 5 or 6 communities between Sewu Town and Greenville that will also be connected, and also including Morriville, where we have our solar grid at the old Fapla compound.
How many homes again?
This is close to 5,500 homes just in Greenville alone.
Just of Greenville as a city?
As a city, yes.
Not the entire Sinai County?
No, not the entire Sinai. It's small. It's small, but that's a starting point. And the last time they ever had a grid power in Greenville was when, I don't know which year now, but I think the government celebrated July 26. Ellen used to.
Yeah, I think that former president.
Yeah, Ellen Jackson said it. That was the last time. So we're doing a lot of work to take over the grid in Greenville. Then the last part of that support from the EU is in Barclayville, where we are doing similar work, minus the dam, and we will initially do between 1,000 to 2,000 connections in Barclayville.
If you just joined us, this is Liberia Today, and my guest is Samuel Nangbe, the head of the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency, RREA, responsible to connect rural communities using off-grid. I'm using a stem now.
It is.
I'm learning. Off-grid electrification for residents outside of one of the big cities in Monrovia that got on-grid electricity. But also, if the person is in Monrovia and they need the off-grid, they can also supply them.
So here is my thinking, and this is something. So we call this institutional solarization.
Okay.
So, for example, every time I go to the ministerial complex, or I see Capitol building, or I see the executive mansion, or I see JFK, alternative power sources for them. I always did large generators, and it's not sustainable. It's not all. Okay. You see the University of Liberia, or
you have some project with them.
Yes, so I'll talk about that a bit. But you can change all of that. So you can deploy rooftop along with standalone ground mount solar with batteries, and you can have sustainable power to become your.
Can you electrify LBS, for example?
Yeah, simple.
Would depend wholly on off-grid electricity.
Tell your director general. I'm surprised the discussion with the Chinese did not include that. Did not include that. So here I'm thinking, if you did even maybe 100 to 200 kilowatt peak, of a battery. I mean, solar and battery. That takes it. It's expensive initially, but it takes it. Then you become independent in your power provision. So you can just be bluffing AC small and AC people ain't like that because they say you take it their revenue, source of revenue away. But this is something that we want to do. The last time you recall at the Capitol building, there were inspection, cover one. We can solve that problem too. At the executive mansion, one time we're having, cover one peep, then you got run to no. An automatic switch.
But do they need to call you, or that's something you see as a problem?
I'm talking out the whole day, but you see our people, they don't believe that solar. There was somebody very close to the president and he said, Sam, you know how many elevators we got in the mansion? Then I asked him, I said, you go to Ghana all the time. Accra Mall, 75% of their solar comes from, of their power comes from solar.
Wow.
75%.
Solar is that powerful?
It is. It does anything that, So come, like in your case, we get our people to go, they study your low demand, and they match that low and give you, and you can expand based on your growth. Like JFK, for example, I'm thinking if we put between 1 to 1.5 megawatt peak to about maybe 2 or 3 megawatt hour batteries, it will run all their system. Wow. You don't have to think about buying. So the whole recurring expenditure of every month buying fuel oil every year. So let's take a typical example. Let's assume mathematically that JFK spends maybe $2,000 every month. I know it might be more than that, but $2,000 every month for fuel, for lubricants, and this and that, right? Multiply $2,000 times 12. Okay, what is that? Then multiply that times the number of years you're talking about. The system we put into place have lifespan of around between 10 to 15 to 20 years.
Wow.
Okay.
So all you do is just continue with the maintenance.
Small.
Are you responsible? If I say you, the agency responsible for maintenance,
you can put
big for obstructions like GFK.
Yeah, you can put that. You can put that because the proposition that we have is that we can as part of that packaging come with a maintenance and operation contractor who will do all of that. Right? There are people talking to me every day that want to invest and set this up. You just got to show them that you pay. So if this is going to cost, there's an average cost of $1 million now for 1 megawatt peak, plus the battery storage. So if JFK needs, maybe 1.5 or 2, maybe $2 million, but you can arrange and pay that over 2 years, 3 years, right? Until the return on that investor's investment is out, and then you take over. But in the process, there will be a bill of training for your maintenance and operation costs of those things. But this is the way the world is going now. And while that is happening, it reduces the demand on the supply for LEC. So take my office for example. Before this year ends, my office will probably be okay. EPA beat us to it, but will be the second public office to be 100% solarized. So the World Bank, when I returned to RREA, one of my things was we got to be able to walk the talk. Okay, so we can't say we renewable energy agency. I got a generator that is 50 years old. So you see, go and you put out, you just see that smoke all in the yard. It's embarrassing. And so they were not honest. They said, one day we have a meeting and the current one. So you put a generator on. And I said, just what? They said, no, Sam, this has to change. So now finally, we're going to deploy solar and battery energy storage for my office. And that would take us significantly off the grid. We maintain it a bit, but
a bit of friction between
but what it does is that Newport Street got all these small shops and homes and this and that. At night, I'm not using the power, but I'm holding that power. You understand what I mean? I am holding that power. So if I get off that grid, then the fuller shop across from me, all those they are able now to be able to get that power. Yes. You see, so because the demand, so that is,
and that might even reduce the cost of LEC too, because if more people are not on it, and there is a waste of LEC.
So you eat to that revenue. Every time I bring this to you, I say, sir, you got to stop that whole idea. We got to make money. I agree. I agree, but it has to be done in a sustainable way. If AC is 100% at the level of providing the power, and doing this, it's a whole different thing, But we can't be depriving and this and that. So that's something that we do. So yes, we can do this in the urban area. We also thinking about who can get somebody coming here, going to the bank, put some money to provide the guarantee. So you, Mr. Tamba, you got your house, probably your requirement is 5 kVA. But if you go ask for that 5 kVA now, probably about 5,000 or so that you will be required to pay. But somebody can go and provide that guarantee and say you can pay that thing over 2, 3 years, 4 years. Okay, so we're trying to explore all of that. Yeah, that can happen.
Sorry, I have to hold you there. Environmentally, how helpful is the off-grid electrification environmentally?
But that is the main reason why we exist, in fact. So the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency was passed into law on July 15, 2015. And literally, the essence was to begin to look at transition, to start the process of transitioning from fossil fuel usage to green energy, and that transition is going to take some time. But if you look at it in terms of what we have in our basket in terms of energy generation, we can say that in fact a significant amount of our internal power generation capability is already renewables. If you took our 88, I say 88 to mean that we've gone back now to 88 megawatts. If you took that 20 megawatts solar, all the other stuff we do it. The only public fossil we got is this 38 megawatt heavy fuel oil, but the rest of it is technically within the range of the description of renewable energy.
Let me get that one clear. You're talking about the 88 megawatt that the country needs.
So I'm talking about what AEC has now.
Yeah,
internal generation capacity. 88 megawatts Mankafi.
Yeah.
20 megawatts solar. 38 megawatts heavy fuel oil. Okay. So that's AEC's current generation capacity. Of course, they are importing 50 megawatts from Ivory Coast, 30 megawatts from Guinea. But internally, while we speak today, that is what they have. Okay? So if you separated them, you see that a good percentage of that is already renewable, which is a good thing.
Yeah, okay.
In Ghana, they have they call their Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Transition, Green Transition. So this is where everybody is going to. It's expensive, but this is where we need to go to, to do that. So what we do impacts a lot the environment, and that's why now we are in serious partnership with the Carbon Marketing Agency, Authority, Madam Jenny Cooper are having all of these discussions. So we want to be able to see how much carbon footprints and how about carbon credits all of our projects are having, so that they can begin to find market for us, and that money can help us to do this. So we got good synergy with them.
Is it possible, Mr. E.D., is it possible to have a 50-50 equilibrium between you and LEC without friction? Take for example, if LBS, for example, uses I don't know your language. If we uses maybe 15 kilowatts per month from LEC, is it possible to have it 7.5?
You don't need that. It's your choice. You spending your money. You spending your money, and that's what we're trying to do. If you are spending, you have a generator here, right? As a backup, I guess, right? If you are spending $500 a month, so $500 a month times 1 year, that's probably giving maybe about 6,000 or whatever that figure is, right? And you make this investment of about maybe 500,000, 300,000 to have your own to do. And after 2 years, 3 years, you pay that off, and then you are paying $0 for electricity. What would your choice be? So that's a choice that you need to make. Okay, so it's not competition in a sense; it's just sensible thinking.
Complementary.
Yeah. So you can decide. Say, look, I want to make that investment so that my primary power generation is renewable, because when I make that investment, my perpetual recurrent costs is managed in a way that when I pay this off, then it drops to near zero. So
but also, I want to bring your attention to something for many residents who, because I know the RREA originally focuses on rural residents, making sure that they get electrified. But I'm also looking at the economic standing. Many of them might not be able to have the kind of money.
That's your assumption.
And I know you talk about the chip thing, you talk about the metering system.
That's an assumption that you make. Huh?
So, are you making it affordable, not just accessible, but are you making it affordable that anybody can have it?
So there is an agency that has responsibility for the setting of tariff. That's the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Yeah.
That is their job. We don't set tariff. We can propose. So they will look at the investment, they will look at all these different indicators, including poverty levels.
Okay.
So we are making this investment. What comes to the back of our mind is, what is the potential use of the energy that has been generated? Okay, so if I'm encouraging somebody to come to make an investment to develop a mini grid, for example, in Bapolo, we have a partner called Energy City that is developing mini grids, or I think 10 sites in Bapolo. We have to be able to make a study for willingness to pay, ability to pay. What would the power be used for?
Capacity to pay as well.
Yeah, and what would the power be used for? So it's not just for putting your light bulb on. That's not what you, okay? So when you get the power, are there businesses? So you got to be smart enough to say, okay, Vahun is one place that I have on my mind, and I think it's important that we do an investment in Vahun, because it's cut off, the grade is not going to go there anytime soon. Put a mini grid in Vahun. It's a district headquarters, right? There are a lot of things that are happening in Vahun, including, maybe there are people that are doing coffee, cocoa. You have, they're doing rice, so you have rice mill, you have cocoa mill, processing mill. There are a lot of things there, health centers, there are a lot of different things there. You put a mini grid there, people are doing businesses, they're doing retailing, and all those kinds of things. You put a mini grid in Vahun, connects people, right? And we realize that there are means that they can already start to use the power with, if it is made available to them, or that power will serve as a source for people to begin to invest in other businesses. Okay, so that is very important. But to just assume people cannot afford to do the power is a mistake. It's a mistake. Because
I know even in the cities, people steal LEC regularly. Because
why do they steal LEC?
Many of them because they can afford. Many of them maybe because
people are stealing LEC. I can tell you.
Maybe LEC is slow to connect them or to solve their problems.
So it's not because they cannot afford. They want the power.
Yeah,
but it's not available
everybody
to them.
I want the power, actually.
Because I was running a 5 kilowatt diesel generator before. It was costing me about $500 to $600 a month. But am I able to use $500 without token? No, it's way much cheaper.
Wow.
It's way much cheaper. So without 5 kVA generator, I couldn't even switch my machine off for 8 hours. And I can't put air conditions on, I can't put all at the same time. There's a lot of inconvenience. But if I bought my $100 token, it will take me 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on how I use it. So everybody wants AC power because it's cheaper than that. But if there are challenges in getting the power, you can't get meter when you want it, you can't get connected when you want it. There are unscrupulous people who
are you solving those hurdles?
AC is on top of it now. They deploy smart meters, and I'm not a spokesperson for AC, but we do collaborate a lot. So they are trying to resolve that smart metering, all those kinds of things. But the fact is that the demand is way much more higher than the supply of electricity.
Do you experience power theft as well with real?
We are not a utility. All of the systems that are put in, I've talked about, it's not yet ready.
Okay.
But the way we operate is that we will have a maintenance and operation contractors. So in Buchanan, we have Jungle Electric Power, JEP. They will manage our system for us.
Yeah.
By statute, we cannot operate as a utility. Okay. The system we are setting up in Upper Lofa, we are in the process of zeroing down on maintenance and operation contractor. Okay. They will manage it, maintain it, and also have the responsibility to expand on it.
But thank you, Chief. My producers are saying our time is off and we got news at 10 o'clock. But what do you hope to see from your agency in the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months?
Let me say this. We want to thank the government. So for the first time, they've been supporting us a lot, especially on these big public investment projects. Okay, supporting us lots in terms of their commitment. So I want to say thank you, but of course we want more. There's a lot more we can do. The second thing there is I am very much convinced that it is possible that the president can make a policy statement to the effect that no child will be born in the dark in any public health facility. This is 2026 and beyond. And he can do that by supporting us to do the remaining health facilities that we want to do. So
you've done 90 already, or
and we are doing 125. Okay. So I'm thinking that with $10 million, with a cost of about $25,000 for an average of System 3, we can be able to do an additional 400.
10 million.
Yes.
To do 400 health facilities.
400 health facilities, yeah.
Across Liberia.
Yeah, at a cost of $25 million.
Okay.
So that's not something that this country can go broke with. But if you see the impact of that, so that's something that any opportunity I have to talk publicly.
Is this something you have proposed already?
We are proposing. His people listening. That's why
official.
But you are official. This is an official government platform. So I'm saying this, and I was very deliberate to say this, and I will state it again.
Yeah.
I want Mr. President to announce publicly that between now and 2030, no child will be born at a public health facility in the dark. This is something I've discussed with the Minister of Health.